Hello again, this is John with Theology Ed. I'm going to continue the iPet Goat 2 series. If you missed the first video, be sure to catch that after you finish this one. And subscribe, obviously, because there's going to be many more videos coming, and this is a way for you to get notified when they come out. Okay, I'm going to try to do these succinctly, get to the point, and move quickly. So let's go ahead and get started. In the first video, we talked about the triple spiral and rebirth, resurrection, as the primary themes, and a primary theme of the video. So now we're going to continue. We're still going to be at the very beginning of the video iPet Goat 2. Let's go ahead and watch the beginning, the very beginning. Okay, that's all we're going to do so far. But there's a lot there. This video, iPet Goat 2, is about eclipses also. Okay, these are associated with this idea of rebirth. But let's look very closely at the very first, basically, frame when we have video or something we can actually see, as opposed to this black screen right there. What are we looking at? Why are they starting with a doorknob? Okay, you say, oh, it's got barbed wire around it. Maybe it's electrical fence or something. Look closely. Right here, we have a ring. Okay, watch what the ring is. Notice that the screen is dark. It begins in darkness. It's moving. It's moving like the moon. Okay, watch it. Right behind you, you have the hole where the goat's head will come out. As that appears, the light starts to shine. We're getting light now because the eclipse is passing. It gets brighter as it passes, and we are past the eclipse, and we have light. Okay, so we have ourselves here, we have here a representation of the eclipse, or especially the moon in this case. Now you say, why is the sun black if that's the moon? And this actually is a very interesting occult symbol, the black sun. Okay, and it's interesting in its application here. Not only is it important for the whole video again, sort of like the triple spiral, and also like the eclipse that we saw as our first symbol of the whole video, which is this ring. It is important insofar as we are in a concentration camp here. The black sun was a very important symbol in Nazi Germany. Himmler commissioned sort of a complete remodel of one of their main buildings. I forgot which one it is right on top of my head, in order to include a gigantic for ceremonial purposes. He said black sun on the floor. The black sun is an important symbol in the occult. Here it's part of alchemy. Okay, and I'll explain that in just a second. Here, black sun, Aryan cults, esoteric Nazism, and the politics of identity. Black sun, here we have it with this, looks like lightning bolt basically. Again, black sun, Nazism, lightning bolt. Let's go back to the video quickly so you can see this. Not only do we have a black sun here, look closely, and you have something beneath it that is lightning boltish, and that's going to have a double meaning. Both these are, and I'm going to explain the other meaning in a bit. But they are making a connection here to Nazism as well, I believe, and also this clearly is a camp, like a concentration camp. And so we're making lots of connections here at the beginning that this is similar to what you had in the Holocaust. This is a symbol of the Nazis. This also is a symbol related to eclipses, because that's why the sun is black, right? It's been eclipsed. And so you get this black sun. And now we're going to look at, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does the black sun mean? To the ancients, it connoted a balance between the light and the dark, connecting the living world with that of the dead. Sunrise meant rebirth, renewal of life, okay? You have the black sun as a well-known alchemic and occult symbol. Alchemists used this term to indicate the first phase in creation of a philosopher's stone, negredo, or blackness, meaning the purification of the black matter transmitting into a new state, new life, a rebirth. Okay, it's the beginning. We're at the beginning of the video. It's the beginning of a process they're looking at accomplishing here, and it's related to rebirth, which is the video's theme. So we're seeing this at the beginning again, rebirth. Okay, in occultism, black sun was associated with a black hole serving the center of power concentration. It was used by by some secret societies for magic occult rituals almost a century before the Nazi Party made it a principal idea of their worldview. So this goes back a ways, and it was involved in magic occult rituals. And so what we're looking at, because of its supposedly being a center of power concentration, it's where the power is in their rituals and in their magic, right? This is how they're going to bring about stuff, they think. All this, I wouldn't even talk about this stuff if these guys didn't think it. I'm not into this hocus pocus stuff. I don't believe in it, and I don't. I think that any influence it does have, it would be in relation to demonic activity, and so it's to be avoided. I researched this for explaining what they're up to and to understand their video, and that's why I'm explaining it to you. So either way, I mentioned that by way of passing. So let's look again, and here we have our black sun. Now the key features of this black sun, if you look at the art, it's not just the black circle. You have sun around it. You have a brighter light around it, and they brought that in, right? Watch it come in again. Here it comes. Boom. There's the light, right? So you have your black sun illustrated very clearly here. One of the things. Well, before I keep going there, let's go here. So what is the video communicating with the black sun? First, concentration camp, connection with Nazism, rebirth again, of course. And I say first, I was just mentioning that in the order I mentioned them. Rebirth is probably first as far as priority to them as the theme of the video. Power in ritual magic, that's another thing that is going on throughout this entire video. They think the black sun is a way to concentrate power in a ritual, I suppose, something like that. But the idea is it's associated with ritual magic again, and power and affecting change in the environment, which is what ritual magic is trying to do, and that's what you're seeing here. And then we have a connection between the world of the dead and the world of the living. Excuse me. So when we have this connection between the world of the dead and the world of the living, I think the video needs that. And we need to understand that to really understand the video. There are some strange things and difficult to understand in I Pet Goat 2, because it's hard to know whether you're looking at a dead guy or a living guy, or how the action of the dead person or dead character is affecting activity in the living world, in the world of the living, or vice versa. And so we look at this and we think, well, what's going on? And this video depends on, it's very important to this video to understand a connection between the two. Let me illustrate this a little bit with the guy the Heliofont site calls Fire of Truth. Okay, we haven't said who he is yet. Some people, the creator of the video says right here, that's you. Okay, when you stand in the awareness of your sonship with the divine and the brotherhood of mankind. So that's you, they say. A lot of people online say it's the Antichrist because, look, it's not Christ clearly, for a lot of reasons. Eye of Horus, all sorts of evil he's performing, and so on. And so it's somebody who comes in the place of Christ, looks like Christ, or tries to imitate Christ in some way, but is a destroyer, an evil being. And so we have an Antichrist claim. And so it looks like, and for the people who think this is an Antichrist claim, they're often looking at it as activity, like this nuclear explosion or whatever that he creates over the ash people, if you want to call it that. They look like businessmen. When this happens, they think, oh, that is an actual nuclear attack sometime during this period that the video is about, or so on. But if he's alive, right? But what if he's dead? Isn't he in the boat of Anubis? Isn't that the boat of the dead? That's how people in Egyptian mythology were carried after death on to their destination, at least some of the people who died, right? And so there's this question: if he's dead, how is his action affecting the living? And who is he? Now, look, they actually have a case to be made for the video communicating that it's, in a sense, you. Okay, but it's not positive. They frame it like it's a positive thing. It's you when you stand in your awareness of your sonship with the divine and so on. That sounds, I don't know, sound like, oh, I even wrote down here, sounds positive and sounds innocent. But it's a lot more complicated than that, because look, if it is you, well, watch the video. When we leave the classroom, what happens? We have up here, you know what, let me just, I'll show you the video and we'll talk it through from there, because otherwise we're sitting around looking at slides the whole time. Okay, so let's watch what we see when we leave the classroom. Remember, the classroom is where the president was, President Bush, during the first pet goat incident, the first false flag attack. iPetGoat 2. I haven't even talked about the title of the video yet because we're doing the first 3 seconds. But the video is iPetGoat 2, which is about a second false flag attack in order to bring about their end. And so that's incorporated in here. And so the first false flag attack was on 9/11 with the trade towers. And so when we leave the classroom, it's not surprising that at the time that he was in the classroom, what's happening out here? Over to the right, entering your picture right now, is the representation of the Twin Towers under attack. We're going to see, there you are, it's to control demolition and so on. But that's not the only thing that's happening here. This scene is showing both, I think. It's showing both. There is catastrophe after catastrophe here. You have this catastrophe, but look closely at the fence. The fence goes into the water. That's not where you build the fence, clearly. Okay? It's not where the fence was built. Something changed in the landscape. Something changed in the landscape. A water event, it appears. I don't know. Could be any number of things at this point. We'll talk about that as we go. And it doesn't have to be exclusively a water event. Could be all sorts of things that lead to it or cause it. But water is involved and land being moved. Okay? Because there was land here. A fence is a relatively permanent structure, right? You don't put it up because you think ice is going to melt away soon. This is a catastrophe that happened here. Now watch when we go back. He's continuing to back up. So while one false flag is happening in the bottom right, that's the first one, we have the other here that we're looking at in the water. And right here, just like 9/11, when the people were jumping out of the Twin Towers, this guy is stranded out on a little island. Okay? He's stranded out here. It doesn't look like he swam his way out there. He didn't, take a boat. There's nothing there, no way for him to get there. It doesn't look like him. I guess he could have walked over, but why would he have walked over there and then jumped? The idea is he's been stranded. This event happened, and there he is. And he's sad, he's miserable, and so on, and he's going to hurl himself into the water to his death. He's committing suicide. Now watch. Right here. See, as he's going into the water, at that very moment that he goes into the water, we'll see as we back up. He disappears from the screen, but it doesn't take long to fall another few feet there when you're already going. We're entering into a new world through this cave. It's the world of the dead, where that guy's going. Now watch. Boom. Immediately when he hits the water, we're in this fog. And what shows up? The boat of the dead, Anubis. Okay? And so he's going to be carried off. This is supposed to be his spirit or something being carried off. Remember, iPetGoat 2 is going to have multiple layers of meaning. This is not excluding any anti-Christian features of what's going on here. This is not saying that the activity that we see is not being carried out in some way or some corresponding activity here in the land of the living or whatever. Okay? But there is clearly a layer of meaning where the dead guy comes out here and is this, what do they call him? They said fire of truth. Yeah, fire of truth. We'll use that for now. Okay, so he is this fire of truth character, whatever he is, that's so called. Okay, that is going to be, according to the creator of the video, you and me. But if it is, what is he? He's a guy who was seriously harmed by a false flag attack and hurled himself into the water to kill himself. so it's not a very positive message. And he has this dying. He says, "That's you." Well, okay, so we have this land of the dead, but now we have this interesting question related to the black sun, which is relating the land of the dead and the land of the living, or whatever, live life with death. This video depends on some sort of a connection between the two, okay, and some sort of interaction, and we're going to look into that as we go, as well as we can. So yeah, this would be you. And it doesn't make sense for that to be exclusively us because of some of the things that's happening. Like I mentioned, when he does this, that's supposedly in the land of the dead. These guys all appear dead, right? So he's in a world without life, at least at that scene. But out here, this supposedly is the real world. This is, in Asia. Here we have in the Middle East, it looks like, right? We have like real activity happening out here, which is war, which seems to correspond to what's going on down here. And so to really explain the video, it seems like a stretch to say, "Oh, that's just you." Well, no, because when we die, we're not going to go around creating nuclear explosions in the land of the dead that have some impact on real warfare in the real world, I guess. Right? Things like this. So there's clearly a more complex, complicated story to tell about the whole thing, what's going on. And remember, there's different layers of meaning, so one's not excluding the possibility of the other as far as an appropriate understanding of what's unfolding on the screen. Okay. What else do I have here? Oh, and just to confirm that the guy is the same guy, the guy who died, Suicide Dancer, is the guy who is this guy, the Fire of Truth on at least one interpretation. Here's the guy when he's committing suicide. He's got this belt, the light, this thing up here, okay, the clothes. Here he is the final dancer spinning. He was the one spinning really aggressively. And look, as the sun shows up, here he is, same guy, light, clothes, identical. He just doesn't have his mask on, or the same mask. He's happy. At the very moment that he completes his ritual dance, the sun rises, and the Fire of Truth character is birthed. The water breaks behind him, and he's being birthed right there. And so this happens, that happens. He dies, Fire of Truth guy shows up. He lives, he feels the sun rises, he comes back, and Fire of Truth guy emerges in the sun. And so this is supposed to be the same character. So the guy, the Fire of Truth guy, definitely is on one level the guy who threw himself into the water to commit suicide in the midst of a false flag attack, which again, the creator's saying, "That's you," doesn't make me feel fantastic. Not that I would want to be a Fire of Truth guy on a boat of Anubis anyways. Okay, so, but that's not the whole story about the black circle that we started with, the black sun. This also has another meaning. We didn't explain the whole thing. It's clearly a black sun because it was eclipsed as the moon passed in front of it. The light shone over here and so on. So this is a sun, at least in that reading. But look closely, and what do we have here? That is a crescent moon. Okay, look, you have a crescent moon in a circle. Now look at this tarot card, the moon card. The moon, it always has a crescent moon, almost always embedded in a full moon or I think it's the full moon. It's got to be the full moon. It's nighttime. Okay, in the full moon. Or in this case, we have another example of this tarot card, which has the crescent moon on the columns. But they've got the columns, it's got a dog and a wolf, and it has the crescent moon with the full moon. Now look closely at this. We have this looking like a column, correct? We have there's symmetry here, right? We have another one this way, drawn. Okay, that also looks like a person ready to kill the goat later, but you got a couple legs, a couple arms, it looks like, but it has the same look. We have the full moon, we have the crescent, we have a dog, and if you look closely here, when I put the light on this, we're going to see that also looks like a dog mouth. Now, when we put in the context of seeing this like the tarot card, we're going to realize, that's plausible. And remember, nothing is here. When I have more light, when we capture it, you see we have the bark and this. So we're imitating. We have a picture that is imitating the moon card. Let me find that slide again to get back to it. This is not the only place in iPad Go 2 that has this moon card illustrated, right? Look closely at this scene. You may not even recognize the scene. This is the lighthouse scene, but this is the frame when the light is shining directly at us. But if you look at it without the light shining directly at us, we have the dog, the wolf and the dog. We have a crescent moon. We have, I believe that's representing the moon, which is why his body looks so weird this way. Okay, and over here we actually have the crab that comes out of the water, climbing out of the water. This is one of the stories of parts of the moon card. We have the water going forward through here, right, sort of like this one. Okay, we have the moon card. They're saying something about the video based on that card. It's basically you're supposed to do a reading, I suppose, or understand what that card means. So let's look at what some of these people say it is, right here, or at least this one. The moon. General meaning and interpretation. The general meaning of the moon tarot card is in an upright position is that everything is not as it seems. It is also the major arcana tarot card of intuition. The moon tells you that something about a situation or person in your life is not what it appears to be, and you need to trust what your instincts are telling you in order to see past this illusion. The moon also indicates that you should pay attention to your dreams, as your subconscious may be bringing your attention to some information you've missed. The moon can also signify that you are letting your anxiety or fear overwhelm you, which may be having a negative effect on your outlook and causing you to suffer from mood swings, instability, or insecurity. It can also represent a woman's menstrual cycle, because the menstrual cycle is monthly, corresponding roughly with the lunar month. Okay, the moon can also signify dormant insecurities or repressed issues resurfacing. The moon tarot card can represent underhanded or dodgy deals or illegal behavior. If it appears in this context, it is a warning to clean your act up before your behavior is exposed. If you are awaiting a decision or something, the moon indicates that the answer will either be delayed or be so vague it will add to your confusion rather than clarify matters. Okay, so we just sort of read about these. We read this card. Now, again, if somebody flipped a card like that on you, this stuff doesn't mean anything. It's just a card. However, what they're saying, I think, in this scene is things aren't as they necessarily appear. Right? They're saying that there can be illusions, deceptions, misconceptions. This video is about things that will cause anxiety and fear, and so on. Okay, and so, for example, just to use the example of I keep forgetting the name, Fire Truth guy, right? Okay, that guy. Oh, he's you. Well, things aren't necessarily as they seem. You're supposed to go with your gut on these things. When you're looking, it's like, that doesn't make sense. To say that certainly doesn't say everything about who he is. And so this video is telling us to watch out. Don't be sort of naive about it, right? Is it Jesus? No. Even though they tried to depict him sort of like what Jesus looks like in Roman Catholic art or whatever, right? No, it's not Jesus. Is that Mary with the, with baby Jesus at the scene where there's a nuclear explosion behind her? Things are always going to be a little more complicated than the way they portray them or present them. You're going to have to read into it, you're going to have to look deeply, and you're going to have to question them. So now, as I prepare to wrap up, let's take one more look at the scene and sort of summarize. We have an eclipse here, so we have the ring as the very first symbol we see in the video. The eclipse is central to the whole video, as you probably know if you've seen any of my other videos before doing the Pet Goat 2 Explained series. The main eclipse featured is the June 21st, 2020 solstice eclipse, and it's a ring of fire annular eclipse, and that's what that symbol appears to look like. The doorknob itself taking the place of the moon, eclipsing the sun appearing as a black sun. Again, that's a symbol of that's derived from solar eclipses when the sun is blacked out by the moon, associated with ritual power, ritual magic power, new birth, association of the world of the dead with the world of the living, things like that. We've already discussed that, and we have the moon tarot card hinted at in this scene. We have columns. We have the dog and the wolf. It looks like the wolf in the snow, the mouth of the wolf. They're howling, just like in the cards, howling or barking. We have the crescent moon with the full moon embedded or joined together to give that look, just like the moon card. We have other indication the moon card is hinted at in the scene with the lighthouse, which further strengthens the proposal that the moon card is here in the opening scene, representing what we just talked about. I don't need to repeat that. It's recent. I also want to mention that we may also even have a sequence hinted at here. We have the eclipsed sun to a moon. This whole eclipse to the activity of the moon afterwards is featured throughout this video. We saw it in the calendar. I'll explain that here in this series when we get to the calendar. But it's not just the eclipse. It's the eclipse followed by the moon, activity of the moon. So we need to look into that more carefully, what's going on here. But if this was the June 21st eclipse followed by this would be the waxing crescent moon, that would be somewhere between June 21st to June 27th-ish, I think, 2020. That would be depicted right here in this opening scene, which is interesting. Again, I should reiterate, if you're not familiar with my channel, I don't predict that anything will happen on specific dates or even in a few dates. I don't know what's going to happen. I can say, in some cases, what the creators of these videos and other things are indicating as important to them. But even for them, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's because something important astronomically is happening, that there are events associated with that will happen in that period. The June 21st, 2001 solstice eclipse was apparently important to them, but 9/11 didn't happen until September, right? So I think it's important to separate prediction from explanation of what's going on in their videos and things, okay? So either way, that's the big picture. I am still trying to figure out what this point is above here. I am not certain yet. I've got some ideas, but they're not well enough formed that I want to try to throw them out there, and it would be clumsy and messy. But if you have ideas too, feel free to make a comment below. I always consider these things, and with this one, I could use some help, I think. So, all right. Thanks a lot. Like the video, subscribe, so you get notifications of future videos, including the future videos of the series, and share the video. Comment and share it with people if you think this series is good. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.